on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Misleading reports. President Maithripala Sirisena insists unitary status and place of Buddhism guaranteed in report on new constitution. Calls to step down. The National Alliance for Lawyers Association calls on the Election Commission chief to resign. Grievances. The Sri Lanka Tea Exporters Association voiced their concerns.
What they do instead is saying, this is a home and home match. You all discuss with the other and you all discuss with the... I mean, you don't need a government for that in that case. We can make a decision. Why should we go to a government?
Twin bombings. Attacks in Afghanistan kill 72 people. Slippery slope. Sri Lanka slumps to 11th consecutive one-day international loss. Bring you news from home and across the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. Good evening, I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena insists that the unitary status of the country and the place of Buddhism is assured in the report given to Parliament on the new constitution. He expressed these views addressing the national program Nila Mehevara President's People's Service in Vavuniya this morning. Nila Mehevara President's People's Service National Program 2017 was conducted in Vavuniya Saiva Pragasa Girls School under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. Token presentations of 5,000 land deeds to people was also done to people without ownership of deeds in the Vavuniya district.
We have clearly told the people that we must move towards a solution on devolution of power which does not divide the country. The national newspapers of this country publish false news and the people in the south are misled. Some say that since war couldn't divide the country, now we are attempting to do so. We completely reject those allegations. We are yet to even draft the constitution. A report is presented to the Parliament with the opinion and stance of political parties. The facts presented in the report can be discussed. If there are inappropriate things, we can take them off and can be amended. In it, we clearly mention the unitary status of the country and the status of Buddhism. Extremists spread false rumors about it. Television and radios read out the lies in the newspapers the next day. We have given freedom to media. Therefore, media should be just and unbiased. These lies mislead the Triforces and the Mahasangha. Therefore, I request everyone to come to terms with reality and assist the reasonable political reforms. I'm surprised as to why the print media is trying to ignite this issue in such a backdrop, saying the country is going to be divided. We know there are two Sinhala and Tamil extremist factions. We can't stop them, but we who are in the middle are attempting to solve this by discussions. Therefore, what is the responsibility of the print media? Is it to lend their assistance there or to help extremist factions?
In the meantime, President visited the family of Sivaloganathan Vidya, who was murdered in Jaffna. Mother of Vidya thanked the assistance given by the President in fulfilling justice to expedite justice to Vidya's case. Anunayaka of the Askari chapter, Most Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera, emphasizes that vesting maximum power on provincial councils will have an impact on the country's unitary status. The Venerable Thera expressed his views while addressing a religious function in Kandy, also attended by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, during which the Premier went on to say that the government is given a public mandate to bring forth a new constitution.
The Wattegama Pittigedara Rajamahawihara was renovated and the temple was returned to the Mahasangha last evening under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. The occasion was also attended by Anunayaka of the Askari chapter, Most Venerable Anamaduwe Dhammadasi Thera.
For a long period, we had the misfortune of lacking a national policy which could be accepted by any government. The President is expectant of forming an SLFP government in the future, while the Prime Minister expects to form a UNP one. On the Constitution, the two Sangha councils have given certain decisions. At times, we cannot speak against them. The chief prelates are currently abroad, and upon their return, discussions will be held with the two Sangha councils and express the common stance. Chief Minister Vigneshwaran visited both temples and requested a federal system, citing such can thrive within a unitary state. At that moment, however, we said we cannot agree with it. Giving maximum power to provincial councils is the best as well as a dangerous thing. That will pose issues to the country's unitary status. I told Minister Kiriella recently that the Central Expressway is essential as the government should provide solutions to the people's issues and make it a reality.
The Premier also addressed the event.
We attempted to bring the Central Expressway project in 2003, but couldn't do it. We will do it. During the last parliamentary election, we got a mandate to prepare a new constitution. We're still working together, but not even a draft is prepared, let alone a constitution. We transformed the parliament into a constitutional assembly and requested a common document with their ideas. We have scheduled debates on the 30th and 31st of October and again on the 1st to discuss that document. At the moment, we are peacefully discussing this. The next question is how can we peacefully agree on this, and we are not there yet. What we have to do is to establish a democratic government while safeguarding the unitary status of the country and the place of Buddhism, while also considering and safeguarding the rights of the minorities. Don't harbour any doubt, since the President and I will not act on this without the consensus of the country.
Meanwhile, a variety of views were expressed in the political arena on the proposed new constitution.
The government is engaged in a concerted effort to divide the Mahasangha. That is what they let slip. This government's triple gem comprises court orders, tear gas and water cannons. We entreat the Mahasangha to act in an unbiased manner on this issue to ensure sustainable peace. A national crisis may ensue if the government attempts to formulate a new constitution or amend the existing one at the request of foreign powers. Our cabinet is neither deaf nor dumb. Some believe we will allow the formation of separate governments or being in federal systems, but we have a clear political program.
The National Alliance for Lawyers Association asserts that the chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, must resign if he fails to hold local government elections by January next year. They made the remark during a media briefing in Colombo today.
Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, must be ashamed for saying that he can't do anything in this regard. He says the ball and the pitch aren't ready. We don't want him to crack jokes. All he does is dance to whatever the tune played by Minister Faisal Mustafa. We must accuse him of making a direct effort to take away the rights of the people. The Commission's duty is to implement and safeguard all laws regarding elections or referendums. Both the pitch and the bat are ready. Face Minister Faisal Mustafa's bowling. If you can't hold elections by January, please protect the dignity of this post and resign and hand over the duties to an official who has the guts to fulfill them.
How can the Independent Elections Commission bow down to the power of the executive? The chairman of the Elections Commission must go to court.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa condemned the government's handling of the Hambantota protest, stating that in the past, parliamentarians were allowed to protest against the government's actions. He made the remarks speaking to media after calling on those remanded over the Hambantota incident.
Hambantota සිද්ධිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ආණ්ඩුවේ හැසිරීමට ඔබතුමාලා කොහොමද මුහුණ දෙන්නේ?
We will face them. We have faced worse in the past. However, former Presidents R. Premadasa and J.R. Jayawardena never threw parliamentarians in jail. We organised so many marches, public protests and human chains. We raised our voices then against the sale of state property and they allowed us. Today, even that right has been taken away.
Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa warns that devolution of power is not the solution to issues faced by the country, but instead is the cause. He made the remark addressing an event organised by the Viatmaga organisation today.
In its 3 years, this government has failed to accomplish at least 1,000th of the work we did towards reconciliation after the war. It was our government that took steps including resettlement of civilians, development and holding provincial council elections in the area. No one talks about those accomplishments. We can bring in reconciliation only if we address the common issues of the public and not by devolving power. Devolution of power is not the solution. It's the cause of the issue.
An unidentified rock was discovered upon a roof of a house in Valasgala Dikwella. Scientists from the Arthur C. Clarke Institute says that they suspect the unidentified rock to have come from the alleged meteorite witnessed in the southern region of the island on the 18th of this month.
Reports of a loud noise followed by a foreign object was witnessed in the skies in several locations across the south and Sabargamu regions of the island. The sightings were reported from Deniyaya, Neluwa, Kotapola, Akurassa, Matara, Valasmulla, Tangol, Ambalantota, several locations in Gaul and Omalpe in the Ratnapura district. A dash camera from a vehicle travelling across Udahamulla in Nugegoda captured visuals of the object. Scientists from the Arthur C. Clarke Institute in Moratuwa said that they believe the rock is part of a meteorite which exploded in the sky. However, the police received a report of an unidentified rock discovered on a roof of a house in Valagalla Dikwella. When Other Derana inquired about the foreign object, scientist Dr. Janaka Adassurya said that it could have perhaps come from the meteorite.
Run for Little Hearts, Walk and Run commences on 29th of this month to strengthen the Little Hearts project in celebration of the 12th year of TV Derana excellence. You too can contribute to the good deed by making your donations to the Little Hearts Centres established at the Derana head office and at the Independence Square in Colombo.
Run for Little Hearts.
Manusat Derana joined hands with the Little Hearts project launched by Sri Lanka College of Paediatricians to give life to thousands of infants who leave this world without even having the chance to see their first birthday. Accordingly, Manusat Derana worked towards raising funds required towards the construction of cardiac and critical care complex of the Lady Ridgeway Hospital, which consists of 10 floors at an expense of 2 billion rupees. The Run for Little Hearts Walk and Run is organised as its next step in celebration of the 12th year of excellence of TV Derana. The run and the walk will commence from the Independence Square in Colombo at 8 in the morning on the 29th of October, and you too can join us. You can contribute towards this endeavour by handing over donations to the Little Hearts Centres established at the Derana head office and at the Independence Square. TV Derana will telecast the event live from 8 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon with the participation of doctors, intellectuals, artists, sports personalities and more.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Now, as you may have seen during the past week, a social media campaign went viral, made beyond platforms such as Facebook or Twitter, with only 2 words, #MeToo. Women around the world have opened up to sexual and emotional abuse after Hollywood actresses such as Angelina Jolie to Lupita Nyong'o accused producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault during the initial stages of their career. However, though this campaign, which was revived by US actress Alyssa Milano, it is evident many of us Sri Lankan women have gone through such an experience in some way or form. With this in mind, I thought of looking into what kind of measures Sri Lanka has taken to protect its women employees and address workplace harassment. The campaign began after actress Alyssa Milano wrote a simple call out on Twitter asking followers to share their stories of sexual harassment and assault using the phrase #MeToo. This created a movement that spread across the world with women sharing their experiences on social media. Even former US presidential candidate and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who was quizzed on the Graham Norton show, also spoke on the issue.
When you find yourself in these positions where a male coworker, a boss, a client is, really pushing you, trying to dominate you, our usual response is to just hold ourselves together and not respond. Because if you're too hot, they accuse you of being angry. If you're kind of apologetic, like, please don't do that to me, you're accused of being weak. She was so angry. She was shrill. Those are the words meant to keep women in their place. And I'm not putting up with it anymore. I'm going to do everything I can to speak up and speak out about it.
But what is Sri Lanka's stance when it comes to workplace harassment? We took to the streets to ask the public's opinion on what they thought of the #MeToo campaign.
Definitely, I think women should speak about this because in workplace, it's your second home. There should be freedom.
I think it's a great campaign. I think women should speak up and take actions.
Well, I think a movement like that is an incredibly positive step towards these kind of nefarious, covert behaviors coming up to the surface. So if women were to come forward and be a little bit more vocal about it, then I think it would come to light, and that would no doubt affect various stakeholders that have influence over human resource management decisions to draw up more rules, perhaps encourage people to come forward to a greater extent.
I think it's a fantastic initiative, and I'm glad that a lot of Sri Lankan girls are sharing their thoughts and feelings with just a hashtag. And it's really amazing how many people, or rather how many women are harassed every single day in Sri Lanka, including myself.
I think it's a great initiative. It's amazing how just 2 words can invoke so much vulnerability and trigger empathy. And for a lot of people, what they don't realize is that this type of harassment and this type of assault can happen to anyone.
Author of Bully & Co. and advocate against workplace harassment, Fiona Nanayakkara says it is important to sensitize the issue and bring awareness.
Sexual harassment, they need to speak up, but I've also heard of friends who have tried to speak up and then it hasn't gone well and they've either been terminated or just been more bullied to leave their workplace. But this Me Too campaign is great that way. And globally, 90% of people don't report workplace harassment, globally, right? And so we are basing this whole issue on this 10% of the population who are actually reporting. And then even when I conducted a survey, the problem is that society thinks that this is normal, right? I recently conducted an office talk and they wanted a bigger definition, they wanted a bigger explanation because they weren't really sure, what is actually harassment. People think that these are the society norms, So I think the repercussions of not reporting and not doing something about it is way worse as an individual.
Director General of the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, Dr. Champika Amarasinghe says that the ministry lacks data to ascertain the numbers due to the stigma surrounding sexual harassment.
Being in the ministry for a long time, we have lots of complaints and issues about workplace health issues. But this is one of the things that we haven't get any kind of complaints with regard to these harassments. Open complaints are not being given. Because of that, we don't have any statistics with regard to the harassments in workplaces. Confidentiality maintenance is important, and they should be ensured that the confidentiality is maintained because there are links to their job security.
She also added that the government does not have a compensation mechanism in place should harassment occur.
Though we have the compensation ordinance in place, but these issues are not basically spoken out, or there's no way or no mechanism to prove that it is work-related harassment.
So what can women do to address this situation?
What we have to do is we have to empower and educate the females to say that I'm stressed because of the harassment.
Most common thing that you can do is actually just defend yourself head on with that person, I have noticed this, no matter what policies and procedures are in place, it's more of a culture difference that you need to make, they need to have it in their head that, they can't just go and harass somebody. So one thing is you need to talk to them. You need to tell them that, listen, you don't tolerate this kind of behavior.
The chairman of Sri Lanka Tea Exporters Association, Jayanta Karunaratne, says that although Sri Lanka's prices for tea have increased in the past few years, it's a challenge to supply for the shelf prices in the international markets since they have not changed. He was speaking at the 18th annual general meeting of the Sri Lanka Tea Exporters Association. Speaking at the forum, he elaborated on the issues faced by the association and the role played by the government in them.
Right now, tea prices are very high. The producers, the factory owners are very happy. Their current prices are over 650 rupees per kilo at the auction level. But we believe that we can earn much more from exports of tea from Sri Lanka if we are allowed to import tea into Sri Lanka for value addition and for re-exports. So Tea Export Association sometime back gave a proposal to the government to go for about $5 billion income from tea exports. But due to certain protests by various sectors, it was not really accepted. We believe that we can make Sri Lanka a tea center. Promotion and marketing collected by the Tea Board over the last 7 years. They have collected nearly 7 billion rupees. About 1.5 to 2 billion is already spent on various promotions. So 5 billion is, not spent almost 7 years. We are lobbying to effectively properly use that money for promotion and marketing work. We have asked government to stop all the cesses on tea exports because there are various cesses collected from the export trade. So we need to improve our infrastructure to automate and mechanize the processes. Now with Sri Lanka, prices have gone up more than 50-55% during the last 1.5 years. But if you look at the international markets, the shelf prices have not changed. So, we have a big challenge to supply to that market, without changing our prices.
It paid taxes to the government and it was not a national burden. Today it has become a burden to the national economy. Every year, billions of rupees are given as plantation subsidies, fertilizer subsidies, price guarantees. With these high prices, if they can still become independent, there is something wrong in the system. I can only say it's politicized. We have told them what we should do. Twice in the budget speech, it was passed. 2 years in succession. But they don't have the courage and the backbone to implement what they decide in the budget and the government. So, what they do instead is saying, this is a home and home match. You all discuss with the other and you all discuss with the... you don't need a government for that in that case. We can make a decision. Why should we go to a government? If you remove politics out of it, tea will be one of the finest industries this country can look forward to.
And also, I think I was have to mention that we don't have GI status for Ceylon tea, geographical indicator, and all the people, places in India, Dubai, Vietnam, all the people are using the name Ceylon, and we as a government or the industry cannot do anything. So as a result of it, the image of Ceylon tea in the international market is going down rapidly, and we have already addressed this issue with the government, and now only they're trying to get the geographical indicator, GI status for Ceylon tea and Ceylon cinnamon.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Suicide bombers attacked 2 mosques in Afghanistan, killing at least 72 people, including children. While one of the attacks was claimed by so-called Islamic State, no one has yet claimed responsibility for the bombing.
A suicide bomber blew himself up in a Shia mosque in the capital Kabul as people were praying last night. At least 39 people died in the blast, which was claimed by so-called Islamic State. A separate suicide bombing at a mosque in central Gore province killed at least 33 people. The attack, which has not been claimed by any group, appeared to target a local politician.
A senior North Korean diplomat warns that the country's ballistic nuclear weapons program is not negotiable or non-negotiable. The assertion came amid widespread calls for diplomacy and return to negotiations over the North Korean issue.
Addressing a non-proliferation conference in Moscow, Director General of the North American Department of the North Korean Foreign Ministry, Choi Son-hui, asserted that nuclear weapons are a matter of life and death for the country.
DPRK's nuclear weapons non-negotiable unless the US is prepared to coexist with the nuclear DPRK, because this is the only way to ensure lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula and the stability and security in the Northeast Asia.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Other Derana 24/7.
International motor racing is intertwined with speed, style and glamour. But the attention given to Sri Lankan motor racing is far from it. Given the sport's lack of outreach in the country, some believe it is a sport exclusively enjoyed by the privileged classes in society. So, in an exclusive interview with First at 9, we asked champion racer Dilanta Malagamuwa whether it is true.
People have a feeling that if without money you can't do it. But I have to tell you, when I left Sri Lanka, I had a one-way ticket and 4,000 rupees with me. And if I could do it, I think everyone can do it. And I don't think you have to think about a society or a class about it. Whatever you do, it's your commitment.
What can be done to take the sports among all demographics?
I think right now it's as popular as cricket, but they always have this feeling that without money you can't do it, and that's why they're all backing it. But I think the young generation are more positive about it. Social media is gone to everyone, so I think the awareness is there.
Okay, what do you think about the safety stand in Sri Lankan motor racing?
We don't have a proper international circuit right now, so I think standard wise we are, compared to the international races, we don't have the same standards. So I'm also one of the people that really want this to be taken up, because during a racing there's a lot of things called racing incidents, but after the incident you can avoid many of these things. So I think safety standards, to bring them up to the level, they should have a proper international circuit here. But other than that, I think they are trying their best, and I think it should be improved.
What else do you think is lacking in Sri Lankan motor racing in comparison with international motor racing?
The problem is the international racing level is very high. We don't have a proper circuit in Sri Lanka. So when we don't have a proper circuit, we don't run proper races. Even each race time, comparing to international race, the lowest one is about 30 minutes, but we run only 5 minutes or 10 minutes race. So that's why you don't get a lot of experience and exposure. And an event should be at least of 30 minutes event, so people will learn how to prepare a car and how to maintain, how to control it when your tires are in different pressures, different conditions.
And in cricket, Thisara Perera will captain the Sri Lanka T20 team after several senior players, including regular limited overs captain Upul Taranga, stated their reluctance to travel to Lahore for the third and final T20 international against Pakistan on the 29th of October. Moving on, Sri Lanka suffered yet another crushing defeat in their fourth ODI against Pakistan in Sharjah last night. The defeat extends Sri Lanka's losing streak to 11 consecutive ODI matches.
Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bat. Pakistan's relentless bowling onslaught caused Sri Lanka's batting lineup to crumble once again. The sole bright spot was Lahiru Thirumana's cautious 62. The Lions were bowled out for just 173 in 43.4 overs, with Hassan Ali grabbing 3 wickets for 37. Chasing a target of 174, Pakistan spent only 39 overs and 3 wickets as they marched to victory. Lahiru Gamage and Akila Dhananjaya were responsible for sending off Pakistani openers Imamul Haq and Fakhar Zaman for 37.
Yeah, bottom edge, little runaway.
Scoring 69, Babar Azam reached his 7th ODI half-century, while for the exact same score, Shoaib Malik registered the 41st half-century of his career. With Pakistan leading the 5-match series 4-0, the visiting Sri Lankan team is staring at a possible series whitewash. The last match is set to be played on Monday.
Again, I repeat, not...
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Let's now cross over to Southern Upeka at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good evening and and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now, tomorrow's temperatures are expected to be at around 27 degrees Celsius in the western half of the country, while the east coast will be much warmer, exceeding 30 degrees Celsius in some places. However, cooler temperatures will continue in the central hills. A low pressure zone is expected to form over most parts of the island during the day, spelling widespread rainfall. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city-by-city forecast.
And before we go, we'd like to take you to southern Denmark, where tens of thousands of starlings gathered in the sky in flocks so big that the phenomenon is called Black Sun. This year, the birds are joined by Spanish paraglider Horacio Lawrence, who became part of the flock, following the birds at every twist and turn. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant weekend.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana, 24/7.